Five of us are on the bank, but we're missing one person.
It's going way too fast.
But I don't even know. I finally got to the point I grabbed my girlfriend and put her in my lap in the bottom of the boat and was holding on with my eyes closed. The next thing I know, I'm in the water. You're smiling like it's funny.
Sit down, sit down.
My girlfriend's gone, bro.
Sit down.
You think it's funny? Y'all know Murdaugh?
Oh yeah, I know that name.
That's his son.
That's so driving the boat.
Good luck.
For almost 90 years, there was a family in the South Carolina Lowcountry that you simply did not cross. 3 generations of them ran the local prosecutor's office. If something happened to you out there, they decided whether it became a case at all. Their name was Murdaugh. And in February of 2019, on a foggy night under a bridge, that empire got the first crack in it. A 19-year-old girl went into the water and never came out alive. Her name was Mallory Beach. And her death cracked open something this family had kept buried for decades, but spilled out over the next few years would shock the entire country. And it's still not over. But all of it starts right here. On this bridge, on this night. This is where it starts. No rumors, no filler. Just what's confirmed, and trust me, that's more than enough. Hi, my name is Ada, and this is Amo True Crime Stories. The cases discussed on this channel are based on publicly available information, including news reports, court records, police documents, and other verified sources available at the time this video was created. This content is presented for documentary, educational, and commentary purposes only. Any opinions expressed are personal interpretations and should not be considered definitive statements of a fact. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. Some material discussed may be disturbing to certain viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. With that being said, let's get into this case. To understand why this case is so wild, you have to understand the power. For 87 years, the Murdaugh name basically was the law in this corner of South Carolina. 3 generations, Randolph Sr., Randolph Jr., and Randolph III held the office of the 14th Circuit Solicitor. That's the chief prosecutor for 5 counties. They held it one after another from 1920 all the way to 2006. Think about what that means. For the better part of a century, if you got hurt or arrested or killed in these counties, a Murdaugh decided how hard the system came down, or didn't. In the 4th generation, that's our guy, Alex Murdaugh. He didn't take the prosecutor's office. He became a personal injury lawyer at the powerful family firm, the one everyone knew by its initials, PMPED. Big house, hunting estate. The Murdaughs were Lowcountry royalty. Alex and his wife, Maggie, had 2 sons, Buster, the older one, and Paul, the younger. And it's Paul who walks us into the night that started the collapse. February 23rd, 2019. Paul Murdaugh is 19 years old. He and 5 friends head out for a night on the family's 17-foot boat cruising the South Carolina coast. Here's the first confirmed detail that tells you how this family operated. Earlier that day, Paul, who is underage, allegedly bought alcohol at a convenience store called Parker's Kitchen, and he did it using his older brother Buster's ID. By the time they're out on the water, witnesses and later court filings describe Paul as drunk. Friends say they begged him to stop driving. He didn't. At around 2:17 in the morning, in heavy fog, the boat slams into the pilings of the Archers Creek Bridge near Paris Island. Mallory Beach is thrown overboard. The others are hurt and rushed to the hospital, but Mallory is gone. She isn't in the boat. She isn't in the water they can search. She has simply vanished into the dark.
2019, Alex's drunken son Paul crashed a boat carrying 5 of his friends into a bridge.
There's 6 of us and 1 is missing.
19-year-old Mallory Beach was killed. Paul was caught on security camera in a convenience store buying $50 worth of alcohol that night. He used his brother Buster's driver's license because he was underage. Surveillance video also shows Paul and his friends on a dock. He's unsteady on his feet. There's Mallory with her boyfriend, the last image of her alive. At the boat crash scene, police treat Paul Murdaugh with kid gloves, a sign of the clout the Murdaugh name carried in South Carolina's Lowcountry.
Listen, you're not in trouble. I need to call her.
But Mallory's boyfriend vents his fury at Paul. In the hospital after the crash, Paul showed no remorse, even reportedly flirting with the nurses. He had still not faced justice 2 years later.
It takes 8 days. 8 days before searchers find her body about 5 miles from the crash site. She was 19. She'd graduated from Wade Hampton High School. She worked at a clothing boutique. Her family says she dreamed of being an interior designer. I want you to hold on to who she was, because in this story, a lot of people are going to be way more focused on protecting the family that owned the boat. Investigators would later say Paul's blood alcohol level was over 0.28. That's more than 3 times the legal limit. In April 2019, Paul is indicted on felony boating under the influence, causing great bodily harm and causing death. He pleads not guilty. And now watch how the power kicks in, because this is where you stop seeing a tragic accident and start seeing the Murdaugh machine. First, the local prosecutor recuses himself, steps aside. Why? Because of the office's close, century-old ties to the Murdaugh family. The people who normally handle this can't, because they're too connected to the name. Second, survivors later alleged that Alex Murdaugh showed up at the hospital that night and told the injured teenagers not to talk to law enforcement. And one of the other passengers, Connor Cook, filed a lawsuit claiming there was a, quote, whisper campaign to make him look like the one driving the boat, not Paul. Let that sink in. A kid who survived the crash says the system tried to hang it on him to protect the Murdaugh son. That's the allegation, and it tells you everything about the world these people lived in. A world where the name fixed things. But this time, the name couldn't fix it, because the Beach family did something the Murdaughs did not expect. They sued.
The other underage passengers that night aboard were deemed grossly intoxicated by police. Murdaugh's attorney made his plea of not guilty to 3 felony counts and waived the hearing of any charges, which means the details will stay hidden until it goes to trial. The focus then turned to whether that 19-year-old should go to jail.
He is presumed innocent. He's pleading not guilty, and as a result, he should be afforded a release on his own recognizance, because there is no showing of any of the criteria which would affect that.
We would have some concern as to danger to the community, given that this case involves the use of alcohol. Standard condition with bond is that we not have any crimes committed on bond, so I would assume that would include the underage use of alcohol.
Murdaugh showed good faith by turning over his passport and waiving extradition, which means if he does try to run, he would be brought back to stand trial.
And no evidence presented to this court that the defendant will not appear when he is called to court. In fact, all the evidence points otherwise. I'm going to set a personal recognizance bond in the amount of $50,000.
He wanted to accommodate any concerns the AG's office had. He's not leaving the state. He's not going to leave the country. So, and we waive extradition. Those are normal conditions. So, no, we did exactly what's normal. This is being handled in a very normal fashion.
Anything to say about that, about why he decided to plead not guilty?
Because he's not guilty.
Carolina Attorney General's office was brought in to prosecute this case, and Judge Robert John came from the 15th Circuit Court because of the close ties the entire Murdaugh family has with prosecutors and judges in our area.
Mallory Beach's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Murdaughs. And here is the single most important thing in this entire episode. The thing that turns a boat crash into a saga. That lawsuit came with discovery. Legal discovery means lawyers get to demand documents, financial documents, and to defend against this lawsuit, Alex Murdaugh was going to have to open his books. His finances were about to be exposed. Now, at the time, nobody on the outside knew what we know now, that Alex Murdaugh was allegedly sitting on years of stolen money, millions of it, money taken from his own law firm and his own clients. We'll get into all of that later in this series, and it is staggering. But for now, just understand the pressure cooker he's in. The boat lawsuit is bearing down. The discovery deadline is coming. If his finances get pulled into the light, the whole empire, the house, the firm, the name, it all comes down. Prosecutors would later give this exact moment a name. They called it the Gathering Storm. A storm that was about to expose everything Alex Murdaugh had been hiding. And then, on the night of June 7, 2021, the very same day, his law firm confronted him about nearly $800,000 in missing money. That storm broke in the worst way imaginable. Before we go any further, let us remember who Mallory Beach was. Mallory Beach, before she became a headline, was a daughter, a friend, an animal lover, and a young woman with her entire future ahead of her. Those who knew her remember her infectious smile, her kind heart, and her ability to make everyone feel welcome. She loved her family, cherished her friends, and had a special place in her heart for animals, often rescuing strays and helping them find homes. Friends say Mallory was the type of person you would never forget after meeting her. Her legacy is not defined by the tragedy that took her life, but by the love, compassion, and joy she brought to those around her. Now, we continue with this story. That night, Alex Murdaugh calls 911. He says he's come home to the family's hunting estate, a place called Moselle, and found his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, lying on the ground near the dog kennels. Both shot, both dead. Paul, the son who'd been driving that boat, Maggie, the wife, both were gone in their property on the same night. The financial walls were closing in. The Murdaugh name had protected this family for almost 90 years. It could not protect them from what happened at those kennels. And the question that's going to drive the rest of this series is the one investigators started asking almost immediately. Who would kill Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, and why? Because the more they looked, the more the answer pointed somewhere nobody in that powerful family wanted to believe. Part 1 of the Murdaugh Dynasty saga ends here. Part 2 is coming soon. In part 2, we go through the night of the murders and the one piece of evidence that took investigators 18 months to understand. And before you know the rest, tell me, based on just what you've seen so far, do you think the boat crash and the murders are connected? Drop your theory in the comments. I will read everyone. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe. It's free, and ring the bell so part 2 lands right in your feed. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Stay safe, stay alert, and always pay attention to what's happening around you. See you soon.